Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us again today for another CTC webinar. Today we're going to be talking about continuing, our talk about sheet generator. Last week we did introduction to sheet generator. Today we're going to jump off where we left off, or jump in where we left off. And today we're going to talk about plan and profile view shapes. My name is Tony Crick. I'm the Civil Product Manager here at CTC Software. And as we go along here, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the question bar and we'll get to them if we can. Otherwise, hang around to the end, and if we can answer them, we'll answer them. So let's get going. So Sheet Generator, it's part of our SIM project suite of tools. We're currently at version 24.2. It is intended for the everyday Civil 3D user creating design and production drawings. It works in the last 4 versions of Civil 3D back to Civil 3D version 2020. So Sheet Generator. What does it do? Well, we put it in there. It's been created because Civil 3D creates but doesn't edit sheets. In Civil 3D, you need to recreate or manually edit sheets when things change. And Viewframes and Matchlines are somewhat inflexible, and they have limited profile view controls. Why Sheet Generator? What does it do? Well, it's more versatile. It eliminates manual editing and in the end saves time. You create model view shapes that are linked to sheets. It's fairly easy to set up. It works with all your current standards and uses regular Civil 3D AutoCAD block definitions. And like the native tools, we can create plan and profile, plan and plan, plan only, profile only. Everything that Civil 3D does, Sheet Generator will do for you, but more efficiently. We'll show you some of that here in a little bit. So then we can add and adjust match lines automatically, which Civil 3D does not do. And we can add them to the plan and profile, plan and plan, profile, by itself if you need to. And we have better profile view station and elevation control, which we will get to today. We also have better pipe network profile view projection. Instead of selecting right away every part from your Civil 3D when you're doing your profile creations, it will only grab the parts that are relevant to the sheets you're creating. And we'll create layout tabs and sheet sets automatically. And as with all of CTC's tools, there are no proprietary objects. We use Civil 3D settings, styles, and everything else that you can share across your company or with others outside of your organization. So with that, let's jump in, pick up where we left off in the last webinar. If you didn't see our last webinar, you might want to take a look at it because I'm going to skip over some stuff here in the interest of time. So when we left last time, we had created these view shapes. We introduced to some of the blocks that are created for our plan and our profile print blocks. Simply one-to-one print blocks that are created is nothing more than a block that Sheet Generator will read. We also have this match line here and automatic north arrow and a masking block too. If you're having difficulty setting these up on your own, if you're using our tools or if you're new to our tools and you would like to cut some corners, you want these blocks, that has been a little bit of a sticking point for people, contact us and we'll be happy to share them with you. So where we left off last time, we had created these view shapes for this main alignment, this connecting alignment, and this cul-de-sac alignment right here. Since then, I have added a pipe network here, which then I labeled, and I labeled that using Label Genie, another one of our tools. Can handily and efficiently label many things, including networks, which I did here. And then just using the standard tools, I drew the entire network into the overall profile over here, just for demonstration purposes, and again use Label Genie to put all the labels in there. So today we want to talk about the layout plan sheets, view shapes, which we did on alignment. Talk about that just a brief bit more, how we put these in here. We'll go back to our plan view shapes right here. We'll save all our settings where we left off, so we can see where we left off here. And it was for the evergreen street alignment, which is right here, the main alignment. Runs the length of this development right here. So we call that back up. And we went through the settings to lay that in there. So with that, we used the print blocks we talked about briefly just now, the print block that we used to put those in, set the layer, go to next, set some other things. I believe we had that at 400. I don't know how it got to 3. But we had that set there and we hit finish and we went. I'm going to cancel because I don't want to do that right now. So then I made some adjustments after the presentation if it looks a little bit different, to include a little more of the length here on this one, and it kind of messed stuff up here. So I'll just show you quickly how we can adjust these to match so our view isn't exactly out to our print line, our print area here, which is this right here. This is our print block. So this is going to be what's represented in our view tab right here. So this is our plan print block lands here for our viewport, and our profile lands right here. So we can adjust these to make them fit to get to there. Not that it's any big deal, because it will print fine anyway. It's just to show you how we can quickly adjust those. And it's just a regular polyline, so I can go ahead and just snap on them and match them up right there. So you'll get exactly what you're expecting when you put these into your layout tabs down there. And we can also move these view shapes very easily if that didn't look the best, and maybe it doesn't. So again, we just move our everything there. I'm going to move our drafting guides to help to line things up. So I can just move that there like so. If I just move our drafting guide to line up with the adjacent view shape, then I can just simply drag these to get everything matched up so our match lines land where we expect them to land when we create our sheets and our layouts, which we will get to in another webinar. So again, I want to bring this one over to here. And these drafting guides, as indicated by the name, are nothing more than to help guide things. They're on a no plot layer, so they won't plot. It's just showing where our match lines will end up. So it's that easy to set that up right there. I think we like the way the rest of this goes. So we can start creating our profile views from these. So we start here, kind of works sequentially down the line here in a workflow manner. Are we not hearing me? I see a question on there. Someone can't hear me. If anyone else can't hear me, please let me know. I have all indications that you can, so I'm going to keep going here. So we'll create these, they go along sequentially here. So the first thing we come to is our profile views. So we want to create our profile views. And this is just drawing straight Civil 3D stuff. The reason why it's here in line here and pulls from Civil 3D is we don't have to leave Sheet Generator while we're doing this. We don't have to come back to here. We don't have to come and create profiles like this, set everything here, and then get to the draw in profile. It's the exact same dialog box that we're going to get from Sheet Generator. So I'm going to cancel out of that and go back to our project suite and create our profile views. So like I said, straight out of Civil 3D. I'm sure you've all used this before. No mysteries here. Select your profile view. Come along here. How do we want these to be laid out? Something important to note here, and I'll show you here in a second, is that the length of the views. There's not going to work if you leave it like this. They need to match our layout views, which I believe was 400, but we'll check that in a second. So as I continue on here, as we do when we're creating this stuff natively, I see I've got a bad label set here. I don't want my existing labeled. So next, then we get here, and we could select this here if we wanted to and put them all in, but it's going to put every part in, and maybe we don't want that when we're creating our profiles. And I'll show you that in a second, how we put our networks on our profiles. So we'll leave that unchecked for now. We'll come along next. All our typical settings here. Go next. Leave that blank. Then our stack, how do we want it to go? By column, by rows, however you like to have yours set up. I'm going to change this to 100. That seems like a lot of gap there that we probably don't need. So then I can just hit my, like we can natively, create profiles and pick our spot, and away we go. I'm going to put them up here because it's not ultimately what we're going to use. And there it creates our profiles natively, as you would. But we wanted to match these right here. And as I said, I thought we said, I know I changed that to 400, but you need to match this number to get things to work right here. That's one of the important parts of this right here. I'm going to cancel that, and to check some of these, we can just take a quick peek at these and see. If I go from Matchline to Matchline, I think I moved that one, didn't I? Let's not measure that one. check this one. So 400 right there, you see. So 400, we'll leave it at 400 when we create these, and we'll see what happens. The beauty of it is if we do make an error, we can quickly just rerun these to match that up. So let's go through this again. This is the only setting I'm going to change. Change that to 400. Everything else should still be okay, except for this, because I don't have that. I've got this defaulted to complete label set. I don't want any labels on there, on my existing ground anyway, which, yeah, existing. So next, everything else should be set. Okay, by column 10, that'll be enough. I think we have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that'll be enough. We'll create our profile views. I'm going to drop them in right here. So we recreated our profile views. Now the next step, logically as we go along here, would be to promote our networks to our views. I only have the storm network in here, so that's all we're going to get today. So I need to select my profiles, and it's going to look 30 feet either side of the alignment to find our networks, and our right of way is roughly 30 feet, and our pipe should fall in there. So I think we're okay there. So let's just hit OK. And it brought our profiles, or our network parts, into our profiles. Now we see we've got to make some adjustments here because we don't have the right heights, obviously. So that's where the adjust profiles comes into play. So we grab this, and again, we're going to select, actually, you don't have to select them here before you go in. I'll show you that. If we miss some, so it says 4 right there, but we know we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 8 of them. So we can jump back into the drawing and select the additional ones we need, or if you just open the tool and skip that process, you can select them. I could have said all, and we'll grab every one of these, those two, but we're only concerned about these today. So some of the settings we have in here. So we have our match plan view stations. In most cases, that would be what you would want to do. You can bypass that if you want, if you've got some specialized cases. I think in most instances, though, this would be the default way to go. We have these other methods of putting things in. Again, like I said, if you want to do something specialized. Then we have a buffer that we put in, and that has to play with giving us space on the edges of them, which matches our plan. This block that we have here, our masking block that we created, which again I can share with you. And then the height matches, the height of this matches what I can fit in my view for a 20 scale, which is what we're doing today. So that would be the only thing you probably want to maybe change, is if you had 30 scale or whatever, you might need a new block for each of those. But that's why that's there. So moving on, that's our station buffer. You can certainly not have one if you want. Some do, some don't. Just makes for a neater sheet when it's created to have those. So then we can adjust our profile heights too. Now this is going to take care of this problem we have right here where things aren't showing up. And I know I can get 70 feet on my sheet of view height. So I'm gonna leave that for now. We'll call it back up and we'll change it just to show you what happens. If you do it wrong, you know what, let's do it wrong first. Because I know I can fit that right there. So I'm gonna make it 50 for now. We'll just make it 50, we'll come back, which shows you how easily these things can be fixed, adjusted, especially if something changes in your plan. So again, then how do we want it to land? We want to round it to the major elevation ticks. And then we're going to center on our objects, and we have a selection of objects that we can pick here. Today we're going to center on our surface profiles and our pipe networks, which we've put in there already. And these are the other inclusions you can add. You could tell it to go auto over here too if you wanted to. And then the median elevation, we're going to have it grab the median elevation of each of our profiles here. There are other options if you, again, want to do something specialized. In most cases, this would be it, but you can choose the highest, the lowest, and you can adjust it up or down from here. Or if you want to just have a fixed height one, you can do that here too. So many options in here of ways you would want to do things. I would think in most cases, once you get this set, you'll be able to roll right through your settings. So I'm going to say okay, and right away we have a problem. Cannot be matched to plan view shapes. Well, let's just continue and see what happens. So let's say yes, say okay, and we got lots of problems. So this did not fit on there. Do a regen to make sure. So now we can go ahead and we can just put our networks back into our views and see where those land. We're going to go at 30 again and readjust them. Looks like I need more space in between those. So I could move them here, or I could recreate them. I'm going to recreate them. Didn't expect that. Let's just recreate them. So we're going to step back, do everything we did again. I found if you do an erase here by crossing, it will erase your network from this full profile. So that's why I selected them individually. Okay, so let's go back and redo those. So everything else should be the same. Did I miss that step? I did. Where was that? Next. Oh, let's fix that. Oh, here it is, the last page. Okay. So 200, we'll put it back to 200. and let's recreate it. Shows you how easily you can redo these things. So let's just check. Let's just go through this again. Put our networks on our views. And you could do this adjust first too if you wanted to. I'm just showing you how to do it wrong and how to correct those kinds of things. So again, we'll go through the adjust. And everything else is going to hold. We knew 50 wasn't good, so let's make it 70. Now we've got a different problem. Let's see what happens. So we know we're missing some parts here. They didn't land. So we'll just re-promote those. To our profile views. So we'll just re-bring that in. Just like what I said, you could do this, adjust them first, and then bring them in. You wouldn't have to do this step. Just showing how we can bring them back in, and then we can do our adjust profiles again. We have an extra one up here. That's what's happened. We got an extra one in here, looks like 2938. Yeah. So we don't even need that one. Those little parts, can't delete it that way. Get it out that way. Okay. All right, so now we've got these laid in here. We adjusted our profiles on there, and everything seems to be good. So today I wasn't going to create the profiles in full. I was going to save that for the next one, but we've got time, so trying to keep these short. Let's put the profiles onto these profile view shapes onto here and see how that looks. Something makes me think it's not going to work here. We're going to have to do a rerun. I'm just looking at this length is over our max distance, I think. Well, let's see. Now, this move on profiles is for if you have other text in here, other objects that aren't related to the network or the profile, that you can simply move those to if you so need. So let's create our profile view shapes. So again, we could pick all or just these. We want these. And it would be repeated for these other ones here. So the settings within this are the same. We want to align with our plan. Match lines here. In most cases, that would be the case. So we're going to let it do that. Make sure we've got our correct alignment. And our print block, which we talked about before here, and set when we laid out our sheets. And we have this too. You could, again, do some customized settings if you want. In most cases, you probably just want to run with this. And then center on there. And then these offsets right here, once you get these sets, it could be set for you within your template, or you would just know. Like I said, once you do it once, then it's gonna stay there for the next time. I'm gonna leave it because I know that that setting works for what I have. You know what, let's just change it to see where that, I'll put them both at 0. So then our print area, here's we select from our layer, our blocks again, repetitive, and here's our scale. So you don't have to go back and have special settings for all of your drawings. We can change it right here if we're doing a 30 scale, 40 scale, and like when we set up our plan view shapes here to match that. And then our masking block, that's going to grab this guy and put it in there. Why we put the buffer in there to begin with. If you want it to be 10 feet, it could be 10, however you want to do it. You could give it an offset too, if you wanted to scooch it over. And then we just say finish. And as expected, that didn't land how we wanted it to. Everything did fit in there. Some minor adjustments we have to make here. I think we should probably center it. Everything else looks pretty good here. So let's go back through. Let's re-put those on there. Grab those again. And we're going to say centered on there. Right there, that should take care of it. Oh, that 0, actually the 0 worked probably pretty good. But let's set these back to what they were before, which was a negative 4.5 in the X and 30 in the Y this way. Then I don't have to hit the centered. Well, let's do that. Let's see what happens when we do that. The first couple times you're going to do this, you might play around with these settings and see how they fall. And that seemed to line things up pretty well. So this showing up here, I can just drag that down and it's gone. So we don't want that to show up on that sheet. Is that on the other sheet? Some minor tweaking we can do here. We can do the same thing here. Yeah, that hangs in there. A little bit of editing to be done. Maybe we adjust the size of the views. This is what you're going to see in your layout tab. So whatever you see here, you can see in the layout tab. I'm not thrilled with the way that looks right there, but it does match this right here. But we'll go through that. Let's go through this one more time, and let's adjust these real quick to maybe we want that to show up, that label. I didn't like where that landed. Not sure where that was represented up here. Let's try a different setting. Let's try that. Rerun those plan view shapes. So again, this can be an iterative process. This is an iterative process. But the other settings, once you get them set up, let's go back to that 375. Avoiding the alignments. Should have deleted those drafting guides. These do not get removed if they don't fall within, so that's why that one's hanging there. And again, I could drag this guy out a little bit more. We already showed you that in this one here too. Kind of like the way that looks better. I'm not going to make any of the adjustments that we made last time. Let's just recreate these profiles again. So those are gone. Let's erase this stuff. Okay, let's go through the steps again. Create our profile views. And we could make the setting here what it was before. I'm not in our adjust. I'm not going to do that. Let's set this to our 375. Go next. If I left that on, you'd see junk. That's why I took it off. We don't need that data on our existing ground. So everything else is the same. Let's create those views. Let's go through the process one more time here. Let's do the adjust first this time. And all that's the same. Should be all good. We're going to let that go. So now those are recreated again. And we do have this extra one still up here, which I can get rid of. So that one we got rid of. Now we can just bring our networks back to our views. Select our profiles again. Already worked. We'll let that go. And all our parts are there. We should be good to go. And now we can just create our profile view shapes again, leaving all of our settings the same. Should look a little better. We don't have some goofy widths going here this time. Not that that was a bad thing, but everything fit on our sheet. But there it's all centered up, and I think that looks much better. Leave that label on right there, but you can just hide these behind the print block like we showed before. In this case, we probably want to bring that out in front. So we definitely want that to show. So there we go. That's what we have. We've created this. The next webinar we will get into the creating the layouts and updating layouts when things change. That's all I really had to show today. So again, it's part of the CTC SIM project suite of tools. We also have our SIM manager suite of tools. Like I said earlier, currently at release 24.2. If you're using our tools and you don't have 24.2, you can just click on our About tab on any of the tools to see what we're using. And if you don't have 2, you just select the download and you should be able to get it. If you don't, contact your administrator or your CAD manager. And if you have any questions, you can contact us, or you have any ideas, we'd like to hear those. Contact us here at CTC Software. If you don't have it and you want to get it, you can contact your local reseller or contact us here at CTC Software. So with that, thank you for your time today. I appreciate you coming to view this webinar.